Hello YouTube! Today I'm going to take you through the assembly of one of the fingers from the Nano Hand. This is printed in ABS. It's the 100 default size. Has a single string for closure and a polyurethane or elastic band internally to make it open up again. You can get the files off Thingiverse, and you're also going to need to buy some metal pins and the polyurethane bands and a bit of fishing line. I use this stuff because it has a Gore-Tex fibre woven in. It seems to be the best I've found so far. Okie dokie. So you're going to get your prints off your machine. This is printed with a 0.4mm nozzle and a layer thickness of 0.1. The machine will need to be set up pretty well. It's quite precise. General clearances are running about 0.2mm. Want decent surface finish. And you also need to be able to peel it pretty easily. So if those things are not applicable to your prints, maybe I'll put some hints below, or we can do another video on that. Right, anyway, let's get started. Right, first thing to come off are the linkages. This is all done as a single colour, but to make it easier on the assembly, I've also done them in blue, so you can see where they go. It should just come off as easy as that. If there's any rough spots, you just want to take, I use a nail file, bit of sandpaper, something with a nice fine surface, and it'll just finish it up. You don't want any high spots or anything jamming up. And those are going to be the blue bits inside there. There's two, they come as a pair. Should be able to just get underneath them. And then they should just wiggle out. Easy like that. Okay, just a pair of those. These are the short ones. So the long ones go up in the longer section of the finger, which is near the knuckle. And these are going to go at the other end, the distal end. And what they do is they make sure that the finger joints, each section, moves the correct amount relative to each other. In real human fingers, you have tendons which attach to here, and there's two of them that go there. But in this hand, this robot hand, we're only using a single tendon, a single string. And that means that the fingers are under-actuated. So if you don't have these linkages, for any one position of string, there are lots of possible positions that the finger can be in. And so it won't settle down into a fixed shape, which means you can't really grip anything very well. The disadvantage, of course, is that you can only really grip things of a certain size. But that's just the price to pay for simplicity. Later versions I plan to put up to maybe the full amount of degrees of freedom, but it will require a lot more motors. So the whole thing will become much more complex and much more expensive. Anyway, for now, just keep on peeling. Be handy, different tools, pair of pliers, just rip this lot out. And when you're doing it, just pay attention to where there's extra bits of print, which you might want to make sure don't get broken. And really the key to getting these to peel out properly is to set a separation distance between your support and your first layer, and also to set the temperature correctly of your overall print. If you get those two things right, then it becomes very easy to peel. If you don't, and things get bonded on, then it can become very difficult. So it's well worth spending a bit of time getting your printer set up correctly. And then of course the real check is to make sure that they fit over each other, and you want them loose enough under gravity they'll just fall apart, and that way you can be pretty sure that that's going to move nice and smoothly. Okay, tidy up the insides as well. Because of the way it's printed, you're going to get different adhesion on different sides. You need to make sure this is cleaned out, otherwise the mechanisms will jam. So any high spots, just knock them off with a screwdriver. There we go. Okay, and then finally knuckle section. Always be very careful if you're pushing towards yourself, and generally try and avoid it. You should never really push towards yourself with a blade. For more complex prints, I wear gloves, because you can never be sure you're not going to suddenly slip, give yourself a nasty gouge. Tool for the job. Pull out the internals. You should be able to just get underneath that. Even now, or with the scraper. There we go. Now she pops. Same thing, give it a quick tidy up. Everything has to move very smoothly inside. Check in here. Make sure there's no high spots. Okay, looks pretty good. Just last bits of support. Make sure the holes are clear. Some of them are going to run a drill through anyway, just to make sure. Okay. So now we have, oh yes, one last bit. Blue Aubrey. And that is okie dokie, so see what we got here. So the large one is the knuckle section, this is the middle section, this is the tip section, this is the knuckle cross, goes over back here. You've got two short linkages, see there's a bump on top of them, and they will go inwards towards each other, like that. Yeah, just make sure everything's cleaned up, and then it will move nice and smoothly. Alright, to put them together, we're going to need some stainless steel pins. The sizes, I think most of them are probably a bit oversized, but I've run out of my 18s and 16s, so I'm just going to assemble it with what I've got. And these are 2mm hardened ground pins, which you should be able to get quite easily online, but I'll see if I can find some links and stick them in the comments as well. And then finally you've got these urethane bands. You can use elastic bands. This is polyurethane, which is sold for doing hair ties, and these are elastic. You can possibly use loom bands, although they won't last very long. Polyurethane will last the longest and has the nicest characteristic. Bought a bag of 1,000 for a few dollars on eBay. You might be able to get them in accessory shops as well for tying up hair. Right, first things first, just going to drill out our clearance holes. Need a 2mm drill. And just make sure that all the holes will take a drill easily. Possibly a bit too easy, in fact. Make sure there's no debris left inside. Okie dokie. Right. So the way we start this, take the knuckle cross and the two long linkages, and they go upright, so it's like the tusks of an elephant. Across here we need a short pin which will not interfere when it's stuck into here. I think it's on this size is going to be like a 10mm. So to set this up, always forget to drill this one. Put the 10mm in from one side. One's probably got a bit more of a bevel than the other. There we go. Take one tusk, put it like that, and then take your polyurethane band, put it like that, take the other tusk, if you will. Ooh, might need a screwdriver just to pop that back a bit. Okie dokie, and it goes like that. Ah, there you go. Right, so now you can see, got the elastic there, and you've got your two tusks there. Right, so put that together. Take your knuckle cross, looks like an elephant, tusks up in the air. Polyurethane band on the top, between the middle there. Over here, you've got your middle knuckle joint, the elastic band goes up to this top hole here, and that's where the two linkages that go to the front go. Need a 10mm pin. So the way to assemble this is to put a pin in there so it just sticks through a little bit. Take that linkage, pop it on. Try it again. holes have come up a bit loose on this print for some reason. There you go, like that. Okay. Take the loop, capture it, even pull that back to there, secure it with a pin. Okay, and now this has to go there. You can do screwdriver, just push it so there's enough room to get this next linkage in. Pop that on, wiggle it up, push it through. So this is now on the elastic. Those two linkages are swinging forwards, and these two linkages are left there. That completes the knuckle section. So you can take your middle section, and you see there's a little depression there which will allow that to fit in. And again, make sure it's very loose. Take a pin, oh yes, make sure it doesn't get caught on the linkage. Make sure the linkages are not in the way. And there we go. Now these two connect up to that hole which passes through those gaps and then connects to these pins. So start it here. As you push this back, check it's very loose. When you push that, the elastic should easily bring that back. That's very good. Now we find the tip, just here. Again, that should be very loose. Maybe a slightly shorter one. Maybe too short. Like I said, I'm out of 16s and 18s unfortunately, so you'll have to make do. And then one last one, and what this one does is it connects to those two linkages there. Push it together like that. And there we go. Make sure that the whole thing is as loose as that. And you have yourself a finger. If you want to put some line on it, take a little bit of line, cut them possibly with proper scissors, because Kevlar shears rather than normal scissors. Bend it into a little hook. Oops. That's very hard to do this looking through the camera, looking through the phone. Okay, okay. Your two ends. See, this one's been manked up the last time. Not brilliant, but it'll do. Or you can just lay it down and push the pins in and out with a screwdriver if it's easier. What I find works quite well for now is sticking these through what will become the knuckle axle hole, but at least it just gives the string somewhere to go. And it's just this one here. Push it halfway through. There you go. Voila. One finger. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Any questions, stick them in the comments. Cheers. Bye.